This episode of the Wedding Film School Show is brought to you by MusicBed, the best music licensing platform for wedding filmmakers. Head over to themusicbed.com and enter our code WFS on checkout to get a free month on your annual wedding subscription. Now, on to the show.
Hey, I got a great business model for you. We're going to do licensing. Their overarching LLC that owned the other ones was called Dynasty.
Dude, this sounds like a pyramid scheme.
And they license out Tolman Media to people who operate their own business, their own LLCs under the license of Tolman Media.
And they had dozens of these, assuming?
60.
60. Wow. Okay.
So they go, we're going to look at the country and we're going to break it into territories. And then we're going to start selling them. They would pay this person a upfront fee to buy the license. And this was anywhere from $60 to like over $120,000. Then they give them 5 to 10% of all their money. And within like 6 months, they had sold $4 million of licenses.
I hate these companies. I think they drag our business down. Any of my couples who have heard about Tolman Media, about Glasser Images, whoever, they associate me with them. I see the things you do. I see your attitude. I see the way you keep on moving it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wedding Film School Show. My name is Jared Haskell, again, here with my business partner and co-host, Jason McCutcheon. Jay, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I wanted to talk about something today that's it's some drama, some industry drama. So if you're listening to this, you're in for it today. But it's going good. You know, like we've been recording a lot of episodes for the upcoming season. So I'm like, I would say days are blurring together right now.
They definitely are. It's the off season for us. It's a little bit slower, so we have a lot of time to
at the time of recording.
Yes, exactly. So we have a lot of time to consider these things. Right now, at the time of recording, there's a lot of things flying around our atmosphere. Have you noticed that lately?
Oh, up in the skies?
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think it's actual aliens, or do you think it's hobbyists? What's the deal?
You're gonna make me actually say what I think.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that they did something that got bad PR and then they wanted to get good PR. So they started shooting everything possible at this guy.
So I'm into it. I actually don't really believe in aliens. So it's not going to be as interesting as
aliens.
Someone might think.
I think it's probably everyone's probably all spying on each other. And this one time somebody who isn't in the government noticed it.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you can't do that. And they're like, dang it, we have to shoot this one down.
I actually think it's probably like something like NORAD. They actually only scan for like airplanes or something. They only scan for like a certain type of thing. So then when they like had the one Chinese balloon come over, they're like, crap, that went over our whole country and we didn't even notice it until it was.
I bet a bunch
and
of
then they can't went back. They're like, no, we knew it was there the whole time. Blah 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 blah. But now they kind of like changed their sensors of like what they can actually pick up, and they're like, oh shoot, there's all these things in our atmosphere that are just like, who knows what they are.
Bringing it back to wedding filmmaking though,
yeah,
drones are next. They're gonna start shooting our drones down with that.
I would drones are expensive, but can you imagine
how awesome that would be?
Your drone getting taken out by a Sidewinder, $400,000 Sidewinder missile.
Hopefully that happens to someone.
Oh, that'd be a great story.
But it would probably I can't imagine it would just like take it with it. It's so light.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny because
I don't really know how missiles explode.
The FAA is like, you can't fly over people, right? That's part 107. You can't fly over people.
You shoot missiles over them, though.
But you can shoot a missile at it and explode all this debris, apparently, down onto the ground. Like, that's totally fine. But yeah, because the government is doing it. But
of course, they're experts at everything. Okay, so today,
so that was our pop culture corner. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, speaking of experts,
yeah.
And I'm looking at my phone because I want to get proper names. But
yeah, I want to hear about the drama.
Yeah, so if you are new to the wedding industry, well, welcome, first of all. But second of all, one of the things that will happen every couple of years, Jared, is like some company will come, right? And, there'll be a national company with like a ton of weddings. And then they'll like go out of business. or they won't go out of business, but there'll be some drama around like non-payments, right? Like people are like, oh, don't work for them. They don't pay me. Like they said they would pay me in 2 weeks and they took 17 days.
Sure.
You know, and literally quite like half the time I'm always like, oh my gosh, shut up, people. Like, who cares? Like, you never been paid 3 days late? Give me a break. Like,
Well, like most any kind of production companies that you work for, that you send a bill to, it's usually like net 30, right?
here's the deal. It's just normal. If you come from commercial, you're used to getting paid. And so I think wedding filmmakers are kind of babies about it.
How dare you, sir, call our whole industry just full of
I mean, I could call
payment
them
babies?
I could call them unprofessional.
Well, it is. I think it's just an adjustment to make, because when you work in the commercial world, it's you're always working for your next job and you're always paid late. It's a weird thing. Maybe if it's set up now, it would be different, but you're working in a world where it's like literally people used to cut checks and send them, so it was like,
well, they have
expected.
departments that pay you. It's not
Right.
even like the guy who hired you
Right,
doesn't pay you.
right.
So it's not even up to them.
Yeah.
So anywho, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. My point is only to say I don't pay much mind to it.
Sure.
It's just a thing people complain about, and like I get it. They're whining or upset because they need money, and so I get it.
I would say it depends what the person told you. If they tell you, hey, net 30, net 60, net 90, or we're going to prepay you, whatever you discuss, they should be like doing what they
But
say.
still, like
But to just expect that you're going to receive it immediately after shooting, based on no conversations, I would say that's where people are babies, and they should.
Well, I also think
crap
just like
figured out.
everyone makes mistakes. Like,
Sure.
you know, you don't want like these very same people are late on their wedding films,
Mhm.
and they don't want people. It's whatever.
Sure.
Like all that to say, I don't usually pay much attention to people complaining about working with these big chains because I typically will try to see both sides of the story. And you don't get it, so it's not really that meaningful. But every once in a while, a story comes up where you're like, the implications of the failure by the company are so significant that like it's not just a few payments, right? It's not just like you got paid 4 days late. It's like literally like couples are just gonna not have a filmmaker and they won't even have any recourse, and couples are gonna lose their entire deposits, or filmmakers might never get paid.
Mhm.
Right. And that's when I kind of take notice and I start looking, because I'm like, that's when I start to think like fraud can be involved, or, you know, just terrible business decisions. Who knows? But some kind of really serious problem. And so currently the situation is this company called Tolman Media. And I was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about, I remember like we could have done a podcast on years ago. There's like a situation with this company called Copper Stallion Media, and I was looking at a post by Matt Johnson, and he's posting and he's like, hey, I found my stuff on this person's website. I believe it was also like White and Reverie was on these persons. So this guy, what was that guy's name again? Oh man,
it's 3
Jesse
names.
John something.
Yeah, Clark.
Jesse John Clark. Is that his name?
John Jesse Clark, maybe, but Jesse Clark. That's his real.
Yeah.
name.
So this guy Jesse Clark is this like serial scammer, right? He actually got like litigated against in Massachusetts. He goes around the country, basically books all these weddings and just doesn't shoot them. He books them on a fake.
Well, that's what he did in Massachusetts. He booked a lot of weddings, didn't deliver on it. The attorney general said you can never work in Massachusetts.
He did that at a bunch of places
because I think he actually shot the weddings and then never even delivered the footage, or then he went out a bit. So it was one of those guys who you hear about these horror stories.
Yeah, and like he actually has a lot of different businesses he starts basically with like not profiles.
Yeah.
He'll get like a profile in a state, and then he would like start a business called like Good Weddings Inc.
Yeah.
And then so eventually this company with Copper Stallion Media, there's a big drama where this bride or like the
bride died, and
Yeah.
the groom called him and said, "Hey, my wife died in a car
give me my
accident.
deposit back.
Could I have, the money back?" And this guy said, "No,
Well, he didn't just say no. He was like really
it's not my
antagonistic.
problem."
He was really antagonistic.
Well, it originally was, "No, you can't." And then the guy was like, "What the heck?" He was like, "My wife died. You're not going to give me my money back." Like, just bad PR, right? And then the groom's friends started calling, like writing bad reviews, which if you don't give a deposit back due to that, people are totally entitled to trash you on the internet. Like, and that's the thing. Like, our lawyer always says, like, what is legal and then what is right. Like, they're two different things. Like,
Yes.
you can pursue the law to the nth degree, but you will come off like a D-bag. And that's just what it is. Yes, you can say my contract says this, but sometimes that can be the right move. Sometimes that can be the D-bag move. So like, what's the decision?
I mean,
he
clearly
made
this
a bad
guy's a
decision there.
D-bag because like he's literally like what you'll always find with these guys. It's the same thing with the Tolman situation is when you look into them, they're the type of guys who have videos where they rent Lamborghinis and then pretend to own the Lamborghini and tell you how to buy a Lamborghini.
Yeah, the cheap
And
rappers.
He had like videos of like him like fake traveling in jets and like he's trying to sell a lifestyle.
Yeah.
He wants to be like a guru.
Yeah.
He's like a classic fake guru.
This guy at Copper Stallion, that's what you're saying. That
Well,
guy.
also Tolman people, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So this guy, Tolman guy or Copper Stallion guy, the big drama around that. Next, I think like last year there was, I don't know all the background behind it, but Glasser Media up in like the Minnesota area, like went bankrupt and screwed a lot of couples out of their deposits and,
Petite Four is another one.
Yeah,
that
they went
out.
bankrupt. So like in all these situations, there's differences. So that's what I want to be clear with before we talk today is like, I'm not anti-national brands. I think the conversation needs to be had about like, are they needed in the marketplace or are they not? Why do they exist? Like what can you, if you really don't like them, what could be done about it?
Yeah.
And like also knowing like every one of these situations was different.
Mm-hmm.
They all like you have like Jesse, whatever his name is, Jesse John Clark or Jesse Clark. He's an actual criminal.
Mm-hmm.
He was like scamming people, stealing from people, like literally like pretending, like using White and Reverie to book weddings.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Like from all I've heard from Glasser Media, he just got out over his skis.
Mm-hmm.
He made some mistakes, bad business dealings, bad decisions. And then, he got into a position.
Right.
Right. This situation is really interesting with Tolman Media.
Sure.
Do you want to know the background?
Yeah. Tell me and the audience. I know a little bit, but you tell me the whole deal.
When I first saw it, I was like, okay, I am going to make a video about this. And I'm working on like an expose thingy. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm still like thinking through it because I don't want to be a person who just trashes on people. And I don't know. It's like important, I think, to be precise when you're dealing with this type of stuff, not just for legal reasons, but also ethical reasons. Like you don't want to be saying these people scammed people when they didn't, when they just were dumb and they made mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I started looking into it and I wanted to see if there was commonality between Copper Stallion, Petite Four, Glasser, right? Are they doing the same things?
Can you call this the name of this expose? Can you call it public exposure?
Yes, you can edit it. You can edit, log in, and
I think
change
that would
the
be
name.
brandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anyway.
Yeah.
And
Or
so
Jason exposes himself.
I'm not exposing myself. I would be exposing.
Jason exposes his friends.
Tolman Media exposed.
Yeah. Okay.
Brendan Tolman exposes himself.
Yes. Okay.
That would definitely get you sued.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah.
So I don't
we
want.
we could use that.
So anyway, it all got started, the drama, when someone posted in a group this video of Brendan Tolman saying a video he sent to all his contractors.
Didn't it start with people just not getting paid? And they were like, what's going on?
What started for me.
Okay. But I heard that people weren't getting paid even
weren't.
before that video.
They weren't.
People are like, hey, is anyone else experiencing this? And it was like, oh, yeah, I did. Oh, no, I've been paid. It was a lot of back and forth. That's where it kind of started for me.
I didn't hear anything about it until I saw the video.
Okay. Then this video comes out.
So this video comes out and he's like, hey, guys, like a lot of you are having situations not getting paid, but don't worry. First of all, in the video, he says, I got scammed out of $1 million. So there's a lot going on behind your scenes. The old owner left and took $1 million from me. And they're like, what? That's a weird thing to tell everyone. And then he goes, but don't worry, a booking season's coming and we'll have money to pay you. And I'm like, that's not how that's supposed to work.
Right.
Like, there's just a bunch. I'm like, where did all the cash go in the business?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is crazy, right? Like, you book something, you have money,
Mm-hmm.
you should have margin in your sale.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So then I'm thinking like, I need to figure this stuff out. So the first thing I start doing is like, I start asking people who have not been paid. I'm like, tell me about their business model. So, because I've always heard, like, I've always assumed, Jared, that these people got paid nothing to shoot these weddings.
The contractors.
Yeah.
If you work for Tolman Media, you've assumed that they get paid
pennies,
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
They get paid pretty good.
Yep.
Like $70 to $100 an hour.
Right. Well, that's
No.
good for the industry. That's good for people that are breaking into the industry who want to get paid and learn at the
Maybe
same
it
time,
is,
right?
or maybe it's not. I think it could be bad,
Okay.
but we'll get into that. But so I'm start finding out, okay, so their margins are not good, right? That's the first thing I'm looking. And then I'm like, where does all the money go? So I start looking into everything. I did a Zoom chat with people. I was like, hey, if you've been affected by this, come to this Zoom chat. And we had managers, all these different people, and they're kind of outlining how this stuff works. So I'm realizing like there's a lot of money leaving early. And so at one point somebody sends me this, I go down the rabbit hole and I get a link to the Bigger Pockets podcast with guests, Brennan Tolman, and then this other guy, Nick Crone. And so I was calling Nick Crone Man Bun. And so Nick Crone is on there, and Nick Crone is like the business guru who's like helping this, wide-eyed kid filmmaker start this business. And so this is where like my empathy kicks in a little bit, right? Because this is how these people meet, Jared. On the podcast, this is a 1 million subscriber podcast on YouTube. They probably have even like more on, you used to listen to Bigger Pockets, right?
Well, Bigger Pockets real estate podcast. I think this is the business podcast. Like
Yeah,
people that start
but Bigger
businesses.
Pockets is like a
Big,
huge
huge.
entrepreneurship brand.
Massive. Yep.
And so they have these guys on the show. So that's what I'm like, what the? They made $4 million, I think, in 2019.
Right.
And I was like, how is this possible? This is crazy, and
What is their business model?
yeah.
Right?
And so I started looking into, because this guy, like, I got to tell you how they meet each other, because this will set it all up. He goes, yeah, like I was in a college class on entrepreneurship. And
Who is this?
Brennan
Tolman,
says,
okay.
I was in a college class and I had to go find someone who's selling a business, like open up the paper, find someone selling a business. And I don't know if he had to interview them or try to buy it. I don't know what it was, but he calls this guy who's selling a digital marketing business. And the guy goes, actually, I don't want to sell it. That was a lie, but I will sell you a course for $2,500 on how to do digital marketing.
Yeah.
That's how and so Brennan Tolman goes back to his school and is like, please give me $2,500. It'll help, because he had a job in the school, a marketing job. Please give me $2,500. It'll help me do so much better marketing for the school. And the school pays this guy, Nick, to teach Brennan Tolman digital marketing.
Weird. So
He tells this story.
what kind of college is this?
Well, also, he's literally just like, they got to know each other based on a lie.
I know, but like, it just okay. So the school wanted Brandon to go
It
to
was
a man
two-
who was selling a company. Brandon was just going to ask him
Brennan,
questions.
not Brandon.
Brandon.
Yes.
Brandon. Of course.
It was a two-part thing.
Yeah.
One, it was a class, and then within the concept of his school, he had a job for the paper
Okay.
of digital marketing.
Okay.
So he was like, "Oh, I found this guy who will help me make crazy."
Was
But
he supposed to buy the business from this
I don't
guy
know.
as like
Don't get into that. I don't know.
It's just weird. The whole thing just seems like what?
Like maybe he's supposed to interview them and say like,
Okay.
"Why are you selling it?" I don't know.
I don't know. The opportunity presented itself.
He
Man
took-
Bun decided, Crone decided, oh, this guy is actually a honeypot.
Basically,
And I can take advantage of him.
That's what it
maybe,
seems like.
Maybe not. Maybe it's, I'll assume good intentions.
Well, it was
maybe
years-
he's just like, this is a good, hungry kid. I'm going to mentor him. Maybe we can start a business
it
together.
was no. It was years later.
Okay.
So years after they got to know each other, they were like, he didn't view that as a red flag. They were friends. Actually, what's
Okay.
funny on the podcast, that guy goes, "Oh, so that's a great way to sell your course." He's like laughing, like making fun of the.
I heard some of this podcast.
And
It
he
was
go-
like, oh, come over to my house and help me pull weeds. And did you did you listen to that one? Was
Yeah.
that the same one? I listened to two.
But he
that
goes
were
like this. The kid goes, the guy Nick Crone, when he's talking about how he got to know him and convince him to give $2,500, he's like, "Someday you got to get grungy."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that does not like age well." Like, so eventually, years later, Brennan is starting has a photo video business with his wife.
Yep.
and he's, I would say low priced, probably selling $4,000 packages.
They got into it. She's doing photo.
They're doing pretty
video,
good.
right?
And he's like, I want to do more. Kind of the journey of building a studio. They start trying to contract out and build this little team.
How do you do business, right? Brendan's probably not, did he graduate from
I don't
school
know.
or whatever?
I think he was like,
is he a business major or
he
something?
eventually had like a team of like 10 or 20.
Okay.
He's doing really good. They're having like 80,000 sales months. They're doing good. So this guy's like hovering,
Yeah.
Oh, I can come in and help you.
Yeah.
Oh, come in and help me with my business. So
Yep.
he gets involved. And like, this is where things get crazy. He starts like encouraging, like saying like, oh, we're not making any money, which means I'm not making any money. Nick, they're making $80,000, $100. Like we know, like this business is expensive to operate. Like the margins are not super incredible if you want to pay a bunch of people in wedding filmmaking.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we're not rich.
Right.
Right. And so this guy's like, he's like, well, after 6 months, blah, blah. And I'm like, it makes me think like, is this guy really a guru? Because he's literally trying to like turn this thing into super, like 6 months. He's already pissed. I'm like, this guy has no patience. He has no plan. So he starts pushing. He might've had the plan already from the beginning.
Maybe not a plan, but I mean, I think a lot of business people are pretty impatient and they want to make money as fast as possible.
I don't know about that. I think most people have read the
actual
books.
business people. Like that's what these like capital companies are. These capital businesses.
If they were a real business guy, they wouldn't have bought a wedding filmmaking company.
Sure.
Like you know what I'm saying? This guy's just a fraud.
Is he one of the guys that you always get Facebook requests from? Like, hey, if you just take my course, then I can help you make more sales. I just got an ad for that this afternoon.
Yes.
I was asking you who this person was.
Yes. Yeah. He's like he's just like a scummy guy.
Okay.
And so the guy goes like, hey, I got a great business model for you. And this is where everything gets crazy. He goes, we're going to do licensing.
Okay.
We're going to do licensing.
Yeah.
Like, and like, so they start talking about it. So like licensing is the best. Franchises suck. Licenses are best. Franchises suck because you have to manage it and monitor it, and someone can lose it if they don't do things the right way. And that's bad because we're looking for a zero liability, zero touch.
That's the word, the liability thing. That's what I thought.
Zero touch too. Like it's the classic, like make money while you sleep. It's like it's a freaking service.
Make money while you sleep, and if something goes wrong, it's not my fault. It's their fault.
When he goes like this,
whatever.
We're moving in to become a technology company because he brought this guy on, Nick, to help him develop this because he had a like portal to like get contractors to take jobs. So the first thing he does is develop like this bidding portal where people like bid over jobs. Well, that actually ended up going away, but they developed this like technology to help filmmakers, who wants a date?
Yeah.
I want this date. Right. So it's like, we have this proprietary technology. And then they're like, okay, then we have like our training. We do like training. And so.
Hell, hold on. You know what this guy reminds me of? He reminds me, like, he should be on an episode of Silicon Valley.
Yes.
He's like, we're changing the world through wedding film technologies. Right?
Well, he's like, we're a technology company. Like,
right.
And I'm like, you're not. And so what's funny is like, I went and took a bunch of their trainings.
Who's training? Tolman Media's trainings?
Yes, yeah, because I got access to their contractor portal.
Oh. So like what they send out to contractors.
Oh, yeah, because they're. But it's really for the licensee owners. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
But like, I'm
right,
looking at their training.
You can't tell a contract if you're a company, you can't tell a contractor technically what to do.
Well, I'm not sure that they really understand those laws, but we'll get to that too.
Okay.
So I took their training and somehow stumbled onto their licensee training course. And so before we tell their licensing, I'll tell you what their model is that they trained. Say they were trying to sell you a course on how to set up a licensing business.
Okay. So me as a wedding filmmaker,
you as anyone, they're trying to break out. So they have a separate line of business.
So you could literally be like our parents who are
like cutting company.
My dad, who's like, I have an extra $50,000 laying about. I'm at the end of my career. I want to invest it in something. You could invest it in Tolman Media.
Well, that's for Tolman Media. No, but they were also teaching courses on how to run a licensing business.
Oh, okay.
So that's
how to become Tolman Media Part 2
for a company the tree like ours. Industry.
Okay.
Or for any industry.
Okay.
And so this is their model. that they teach everyone. And this is the model I verified they had.
Okay.
They have a big LLC separate of all the ones, and it owns a HQ.
Okay.
In their case, they have, and you won't believe the names of these companies. So their overarching LLC that owned the other ones was called Dynasty.
Dude, this sounds like a pyramid scheme.
It is a pyramid scheme.
Oh, okay.
And then
Great.
And then the company that they owned, where they had their president of Tolman Media and their sales manager of Tolman Media and their manager. And this is the model they teach. You have
Yes.
a president, sales manager, manager.
Yeah.
In that was called Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Tolman HQ. So they have Dynasty and Empire.
Great.
It's so bad.
Great.
And then from there, you have your licensees.
Okay.
And that's like your dad wants to start a wedding filmmaking company. He has 50, and so
why would you structure? Okay. So just, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably business minded, or you just love the recent tea.
some hot goss.
Want to chime in.
I
on
did the work for you.
spilled tea.
I took the courses on Tolman, so you don't have to.
Let me just get this into my brain. Okay. So you have not Empire, Dynasty
Yes,
LLC that owns Tolman Media, which is
Empire.
probably just Empire. Yeah, but the DBA is Tolman Media. I
Yep.
think. And then from there, you have your licensees.
Yeah, and they
from Tolman
license
Media.
out Tolman Media
Okay.
to people who operate their own business, their
Right.
own LLCs under the license of Tolman Media.
And they had dozens of these, assuming
60.
60. Wow. Okay.
And so what they start doing is
And these are all just areas of.
so they go,
the
we're going to
country?
look at the country and we're
Okay.
going to break it into territories.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start selling them. And this is when I'm like, these people are screwed. He says, the first one took forever to sell. We're so anxious.
Mm.
And I was in like 30 days. That was forever for
Mm-hmm.
these people. Again, dude, you guys have no experience. So clearly you have no patience.
So to buy one of these companies, someone would have to give them money.
So this is how they sold it.
Yeah.
So they would go to your dad.
Yeah.
Or a DJ
Yeah.
or whoever. I don't know how
Yeah.
they got the marks, but they would find a mark and they'd go to them and say like, hey, we have a system that's tried and true. It's a technology company. It's
Yeah.
not wedding filmmaking.
Yeah.
Tolman Media is a reputable brand.
You don't have to know anything about it. We
You don't
take
have
care
to
of
know
that for
anything
you.
about it. We're just going to give you the system.
Okay.
And you just take the system and you can operate your business with Tolman HQ as your support.
Yeah.
And so we'll support you. We'll give you this training. And like essentially what they would do is they would pay this person a upfront fee to buy the license. And this was anywhere from $60,000 to like over $120,000 for the territory value. And they would always quote like, there's 2,000 weddings there. And I'm always like, dude, that's way more than 2,000 weddings. Like they don't even know the industry.
Sure.
Right. And so then they would pay them.
They're looking at something like the wedding report and just
Not even.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where they got their numbers from, but they're wrong.
Okay.
But they got, then they give them 5 to 10% of all their money every year in perpetuity.
Okay.
And they have
That's
to,
not a lot, right?
yeah, no, not a lot. And then they have to pay minimum certain amount. Like I think he said 400, but probably a lot more. By the time we got all the crap hit the fan, they have to pay a minimum marketing spend
Okay.
to keep the license. So
Locally, did they have like that's like not in Wedding Wire?
I'm not
Or
sure.
Instagram or-
my guess would be since this guy is into digital marketing,
Mhm.
he would just give them like Facebook ad templates,
Sure.
and the person would have to spend like, but like like if you're running it and
Yeah.
it's your business,
Yeah.
$400 doesn't go as far. And freaking like I don't even know why they would set this up. Like Idaho's $400 is not New York City's $400.
Right.
So
Maybe it was different per. I mean, I
it
don't know.
wasn't. I
Yeah.
think they're just dumb instead of a dumb business. Clearly, because it failed.
Okay.
So they're just start selling these things like hotcakes,
Right.
to all random people. And within like 6 months, they had sold $4 million of licenses.
Wow. Based on doing 0 wedding films.
No, he had done wedding films. Tolman Media was a real company.
Well, no. But they did not. They made $4 million off of just licensing.
oh yeah. Only
not,
licensing.
Not editing, not shooting, not doing anything.
Yes.
So they have a $4 million bank account based on just selling the technologies to mom and pops.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe some filmmakers,
Roughly.
some photographers. I don't really know.
According to this podcast.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
And that was in 2019.
Sure. Okay.
And so,
Good
you
for
know,
them. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, except
They
for
have an
what-
idea.
their business model is destined to fail.
Okay. Well, that was the end result. So,
Yeah, because it's destined to fail because the people they ended up selling it to actually need oversight, and actually wedding filmmaking is hard, and you can't just. And so here's the
so it worked. I mean, this interview that you listened to on Bigger Pockets, this was 2019.
that was in their peak.
This was their peak. 2020 pandemic hits. I mean, they lasted until 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Was it due to the pandemic or what happened?
So here's what I think happened. So their business model,
And this is just
for the license,
based on because we haven't been able to talk to
100%.
Brennan.
Now we're getting to speculation.
Okay, that's just according to the podcast.
This is the other thing is based on what they said.
Okay,
I looked at their training material and I listened to interviews.
Yep.
I'm only going based on what they said.
Yeah.
Except for the part where I assume that guy's a douchebag. That's just my analysis.
Well,
I do feel bad for
you think the
Brennan.
man bun didn't give it away?
I feel bad for Brennan. I will say all of this.
Yeah.
I think he's naive and in over his head. I feel bad because I think you'll see in the story that like he did try to make it right, but he just couldn't. And so this is where speculation happens. So I started looking. I'm like, based on that model, how could you ever go out of business?
Right,
You're just making money.
right.
You don't spend any money. You just make it.
Anyone I bring this up to that is like, yeah, this is interesting. They're like, they did how many weddings and would they ever go
Well,
out
in
of
20,
business?
they did like over 4,000 weddings in 2023.
That's insane. Well,
Like,
2022.
2022,
year,
sorry.
right.
But forget about that because allegedly Tolman Media is not even the people. They don't have any cost. They have no employees.
Right. They're just the
just
licensing company
collecting
and then they
money to
just
do
collect the 5
nothing.
to 10%. So how would that company ever go out of business? Ever.
Yeah, like-
you would think that if something went out of business, it would be the individual.
They had $1 million territories
Right.
that were like and they're getting 7% or something, $70K to do nothing
Yep.
plus the fees. Because they would tell people like, oh, you want to buy in? Oh, I do, but I don't have 80K. You know what we can do? We can finance that for you.
Mhm.
It'll be free financing, but really it's just monthly payments.
Yep.
So they're building up this massive pile of like $5,000 monthly payments to do nothing.
Mhm.
I will say I did find that their podcast, the Hobo Entrepreneur,
Okay.
and it consists of them buying a limo and doing interviews inside of a limo.
They bought a limo.
Yes.
Or they didn't rent it.
No, they bought a limo.
Yeah.
That's one of the, like, so it's just like their entire thing was like, we're super successful. We're gurus. Everything from like that kind of stuff to starting a class to teach you how to run their failed business model after 1 year of running it.
Okay.
Like, just like there's just the hubris abounds. Right. And so,
Well, that guy who said that, we're the most, what did he say? What's that negative?
the most arrogant.
The one negative review we have.
we have
that
two.
we always
We have
reference.
two.
Okay, good. We're making our way up in
Yeah.
the world.
One of them's 3 stars though. So it's not so.
That's not too bad. But so he would definitely write a bad review. Most arrogant, podcast
they're
host in the world.
they're the most arrogant podcast.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So they're the most arrogant podcast in the
Yeah.
world. Take that,
Take that.
because
review.
they're out of business.
So what I started looking into is I'm like, where's the money?
Right.
How are they out of money?
Yeah.
And so the first thing I could think was, okay, so the whole entire point of their licensing is they have no employees, right? The licensee has no employees.
Yes.
Because in their model, it goes like this.
Was it just the two of them?
No, the licensee,
Yeah.
the person who buys a license from Tolman,
Right.
has no employees.
Yes.
He's like, oh, it's great. You have no employees. You have a salesperson who you pay a commission.
Yeah. How did
You have-
they-
You have a
okay.
manager. And I was like, how do they get paid? I got to figure that out, which I
Okay.
did. And then they have shooters. And
contractors? Who edits?
so, well, I found out, which I think they own the company, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
But they have a connection in
Okay, so you know.
Croatia.
Okay.
I think they own the company.
So they may or may not allegedly own a company overseas to do the edits for all of Tolman Media,
Mm-hmm.
potentially.
Yeah,
No one
so
knows
they
who
were-
owns it, though.
I think I've heard that they own it,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Okay.
But basically, so they basically are also paying themselves that way,
Mhm.
which is funny. But
I mean, it just quadruple dip, right?
yeah. So at the end, so the licensee people are like, oh, you have to use our, and it's crazy. So anyway,
Okay.
it still doesn't make sense to me. So I start looking, okay, where's the money? Like, what would happen? The first thing that would happen is that your cost would outpace your earnings, and then the licensee people would not have the money to make their monthly payments back to Tolman, and then Tolman would also get Dynasty would also no longer get these 5 to 7% because there's no money.
Right.
And so I was like, how could that happen? So I started looking at their model, right? The first thing you'll see is salespeople. I think I heard they were getting from like $200 to $400 per sale. Their average sale, so they were
$400
yes
per sale.
Yes.
For a salesperson.
Yes.
Okay.
So whatever that is,
Man.
I think. So they're.
How much money would I make in a year if I did that?
I mean,
I need to do the math on that.
okay.
Yeah.
But they were making $200 to $400. It was a percentage. I don't
Okay.
know what it was, but it makes me think that their average sale was like $3,000.
Okay.
Right? They started anywhere from $1,400 for photo and video for like 6 hours, all the way to like $4,200.
That's actually not too much.
It's not too much.
That would be roughly $100K. I mean, it's a 6-figure salary.
Well, it's a lot out of $1 million territory.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're only making like
Your
so,
salesperson would make 100, 120
but that's
a year.
off the
roughly.
top.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's off the top. That's that's before second payments.
Yeah.
Right? That's like, and I think their deposits were 20%.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? So they're really banking on those second payments,
Yep.
right? So they're pretty much like dependent on accounts receivable to actually come through. So the next thing that happens financially for them is they have managers. These managers get paid for every sale.
And the managers are different than the
Yes, salespeople are different
Licensee.
than managers.
Okay.
No, licensee does nothing.
They just
Sales-
bought it up front.
They just own it.
Okay.
Salesperson, contractor, manager, contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Owner, nobody. Like every one of these people I talked to, not a single one of them knew the owner.
Okay.
I'd be like, who's the actual owner? And they're like, I don't know. It's super muddy and fuzzy.
Okay. So you saying that makes me think each of these companies, to do this legally, each of these companies,
They're their
so
own LLCs.
say there's New England Tolman Media or Boston Tolman Media, whatever it is, I don't know. There's this company, they have their own bank account, they're their own LLC.
Yes.
20% down. Probably got to pay the salesperson their $400,
Pound of flesh.
whatever.
Yep.
Great, you made money for me, thank you. They're making money. You got to pay your manager.
Well, this is how the managers got paid.
Okay.
They got paid per sale, right?
Yeah.
They got paid $75 a sale.
Okay, so you're paying your salesperson $200. You're paying your manager. What does the manager do?
Like everything. Managers are Catherine. Managers are you. They have to talk to the client, give the details all to all the people, give the options to the couple of or give basically say, here's 3 filmmakers that could work, like everything. And so like, think about how messed up this is. This person gets paid upfront for ever expanding work. So what would end up happening is they would have 4 to 5 managers a year in some territories where people are like, screw this. Like, I'm not going to do this. Like, so if there's a big month where they sold the manager told me that she was making an average of $200 a week.
I don't understand. Okay. Yeah.
She wasn't making, and so,
No,
she was like, I'm a good person, so I don't want to abandon my couples because I like my job.
How did they get people to even work for them at
Who knows? I don't know.
$200 a week?
Well, they would tell them that, we sold so many, you're going to make so much.
$800 a month? Like, the manager would be doing this full time?
Well, they would tell them it's not full. Here's what my guess would be. They would say, hey, you're getting paid like $22 an hour.
That's
because
like 10 grand a year
the average
for a
couple,
manager.
The average couple, like look at how many we do.
Right.
And the average couple only takes 3 hours of work. That's I guarantee that's how they sold.
They just didn't know what it took.
No, they just lied. Like they just would be like, they don't know the wedding industry, probably some of it, but some of it is
The
like,
managers?
no, the licensee, the
Right.
owner of the company doesn't
right.
understand that, like, what it's like to freaking deal with brides.
Right.
And all the things, and dealing with contractors and all the logistics, and
Yep.
the fact if one couple takes 5 times more, you've immediately made $10 an hour, $8 an hour on that couple.
Yeah.
You can't spend more than 3 hours on any single couple. So it's either a terrible experience for them,
Yep.
or a terrible experience for the manager.
Mhm.
And so they all bail.
all the managers bail.
They would be,
Yeah,
they
because you
constantly
can't live
cycle.
off of 10 grand a year.
They would be constantly quitting.
Right.
Right. And I think there was some kind of regional manager sometimes. I'm not really sure how that worked.
Right.
But anyway, so there's money gone there.
Yep.
Right. Like, and then they're, in my opinion, way overpaying their shooters.
Okay.
So like they have like $2,000 gig, and out of that $2,000 gig, like they're paying $80 an hour to a photographer and a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you just pissed everyone off listening.
everyone, I'm just doing math.
Our one listener is now gone, Jay.
I'm just doing math.
Okay.
Like the math is like
Too much compared to how much they're charging?
yes,
Because what did they charge?
$2,000.
$2,000.
So like a $1,400.
And they did both photo and video.
No, they had two. Yes, and they would have two people. So like a $1,400 package was a 6-hour package, right?
Mhm.
Out of that $1,400 package, they would end up paying each person $400.
Okay. So
That's not-
$1,000 left over. $200 of that
No,
is
less
already
than
gone.
1,000. 600 left over.
1,400.
Mhm.
800. Oh yeah. Yeah.
600's left over.
And then $200 from the salesperson.
Gone.
$75 from the manager.
Gone. And then the marketing budget that they had to pay.
The marketing budget of at least what, $400 a month
Yes.
minimum?
Minimum, so probably more. So
Okay.
like I think like probably some of them are spending $25K a year.
So
So
then you have your owner who has not seen any cash yet,
yep. But he's on payments to Tolman.
but he's
So
on
he has to
payments
pay. He has to pay
Tolman.
$2,000 a month to Tolman.
Oh wait, $2,000 a month?
Yeah, because he
I
got
thought
free
that was-
financing for his $100,000 buy-in, man.
Oh.
So he has to pay
And
that
then
back.
the 5 to 10%. So Tolman is getting the money. The owner is not getting money. The owner is getting pissed, even though the owner technically
Is an idiot.
hasn't paid in because it's been financed. And if they default on the financing that
Well,
was
it's not
provided
my
by
guess would
Tolman
be it's
Media,
fake financing. I bet there's not legal any, but
but if Tolman financed this up front to a licensee, I bet the owner has no stakes, no actual stakes.
no, they can just revoke the license.
They revoke the license, and then Tolman Media takes that over.
No, they just can't use any of Tolman's
Tolman
branding.
HQ.
No. They just can't use their branding or logos or training. So these people have no idea how to do anything, right?
Well,
So-
if they defaulted on their fake financing or real financing, for all we know, wouldn't Tolman
No.
take over the license?
No.
The license.
If you don't know what
They're
licensing
like a
is, which-
brand.
No. Licensing is I can use your name. That's it.
Right, but that's what licensing is. But if Tolman HQ financed their portion, they are the bank. Tolman HQ is the
My
bank.
guess is they didn't actually do it. My guess was all that would happen would be they can't.
I would be surprised if they actually you know that they
No,
financed.
that's the language they use. Sales. It's just sales crap. He basically said you can pay me a monthly payment.
Instead of paying an upfront payment.
Yes.
Well, that's the same thing. Like,
But financing agreements have to be like actually agreed on legally.
right.
You could have. What I think would happen is they would just default and they would lose their
So
license.
mom and pop doesn't have $100,000. They go, oh, I don't have $100,000. That's fine. You can still quote unquote own it, but you have to pay us more than the 5 to 10%. You have to pay us $2,000 a month on top of your 5 to 10%.
Well, everyone had to pay a down payment.
Okay, a down payment.
Yeah, that was
But it's
like
not the
it was
whatever.
a buy-in. It's not that was on top of the 5 to 10%. So they had to pay a buy-in to get into the license,
Right.
then also a percentage in perpetuity.
Right. The deposit. I thought that's what they were financing. Was
They called
that
it financing.
down payment.
They would say like it was the down payment.
Okay.
So what actually the real problem would be, I think,
Hmm.
is that the person who bought it is not have any way of actually running that business.
Yeah.
They don't know how to get, like, Tolman made them dependent on them to actually get a single contractor. So like they wouldn't
Okay.
be able to get, because they were using their system, which they call Dragon Sumo.
So
Dragon Sumo was where the contractors would bid for jobs. I think the bidding went away, but say I can work this day, right? And pick the days. And so once they got rid of that, there would be no possible way for this owner to
okay.
staff their jobs. And so
Tolman HQ is providing the contractors
the
using
no, they're not. Well, they're technically providing the software.
the software.
Mm-hmm.
Who is populating contractors in the software?
I'm fuzzy on that. I'm not
Okay.
sure if you could like say I would like to do
Because
this.
if you're an owner, that's not your skill set. You're not doing that. You're not cold calling videographers on Wedding Film School Facebook channel.
I'm not sure if they're supposed to do it or if Tolman HQ would be.
So this is
fetching-
the little research that I did on LinkedIn. Is there were recruiters. That was a job.
Okay.
You are a recruiter for Tolman Media. It's the same thing with all these other companies too. You recruit people. I'm assuming that was done through Tolman Media HQ.
Probably.
Populate it. You pay for access so that you can be like, oh, there's these videographers. The manager can then pluck from. Maybe the manager was the one recruiting.
No, she told me they're not.
She's not recruiting.
So I
it's
asked
definitely gotta be
the
Tolman
manager,
HQ.
I said to the manager, are you supposed to be recruiting people? She says, no, I didn't recruit them. The contractor manager.
Right.
She said, all I did was like see who was available. And I would reach out to them.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
and see, hey, will you work this date?
Right.
And
Right.
try
Right.
to-
She's just lining up the dots.
She's trying to get the date scheduled.
Yep.
With the people.
Yep.
But what would end up happening, and this is what the next part of the domino to fall is the salespeople are getting paid a commission, right? And the salespeople want to sell as many as possible.
Mhm.
So they say yes to everything, right? Because they're getting paid a commission and they
Yep.
got paid up front. So what do they care?
Yep.
So they're selling. And then these managers are like, I have no contractors. We ran into the same situation running our business where it's hard to find shooters.
Yeah, this last year was hard. 2021 was hard because there's so much demand. We're lucky because we have a staff mixed with some contractors, second shooters and whatnot. And in some cases, first shooters that have been really familiar with us. Contractors that have worked with us for 6 years in some cases.
Yeah, but it's tough. It
It's
wasn't
tough.
even easy
It's
for
hard
us.
because they have their own gigs and they run their own thing. And,
Well,
it's hard.
it's even worse for those contractors because they definitely have their own gigs. And so a lot of times they couldn't find people. And so I asked point blank, I'm like, were you having to refund a lot of money?
Mm.
They're like, yes.
Yeah.
So think about that. All the money to the salesperson. Now, maybe they had some way of clawing that money back from the salesperson.
Sure.
I don't know.
Salesperson's paid up front, though.
Yeah, it seems like they wouldn't be able to get that money back.
Well, even if it is net 30, net 60, net 90, you're not finding out that you don't have a shooter for the day until maybe a month before the wedding,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's definitely a problem.
Yeah. So they were having to refund money on weddings that they couldn't fulfill.
Yeah.
When money on that wedding has already been invested. So like essentially like it was costing them
And
$500.
I bet
every
the
wedding.
salesperson is actually in the legal right. I don't know much about it. Don't take my word for it as a dumb photographer, videographer. I'm not a lawyer, but don't sue me. But I think that salesperson would probably be in the right because they're like, look, I sold it. It's your fault that you don't have the shooters. I did my part of the agreement.
Well, also those contractors don't work for you.
Right.
That are shooting the weddings. They don't have to.
Yeah, that's a Tolman.
Because it's not a franchise. It's licensing and there's no
Sure.
liability and no controls.
Right,
Isn't that
right,
great?
right.
You just sit back and let the system work for you.
Right.
And that's what was sold.
Okay.
And that's garbage.
Mhm.
That's not true. It's not how any of it works. And I think like that's the core problem with the entire thing.
Mm.
Is like it was like ran by a scumbag who doesn't understand the wedding industry and doesn't understand creatives, but it thinks if I can sell them,
Mhm.
then whatever. Like there's just all these losers out there. They can't run their own businesses. They're gonna
Right.
need me. Blah blah blah. Like that's like. And Brendan Tolman's like, oh shucks, man. Oh great. Oh this is great. I'm making a lot of money. And like so eventually, what?
Didn't you record that one video about like, sorry, we can't pay you guys. We're going to be
That's what I was referencing.
executing on our Ponzi scheme, but he was doing this from Turks and Caicos. Is that right?
I don't know. He wasn't doing it from Turks and Caicos, but on his personal YouTube, I went and looked at
That was the rumor.
the day that I watched it.
Yeah.
I went and looked at his YouTube, and he had posted one day before a video from Turks and Caicos,
What does he have a YouTube? Like his
his
company?
own personal YouTube.
Oh, is he a travel vlogger?
Yes,
Oh, nice.
he's trying to be like a
It's
lifestyle
all
guy.
lining up.
He also said like he was trying to tell all the people in corporate like when they. Well, I'll get to the drama because this guy eventually. I don't
We're
know.
not at the drama
Oh,
yet?
no, there's so much more.
Okay.
So-
This has been the boring drama.
Nick
Okay.
eventually is like, I'm out, and allegedly stole $1 million. I don't really know the deal, but eventually Dynasty had to close.
Dynasty, the parent
Yes.
company of
Empire.
Empire closed.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think there was some Tolmans that were actually operated by Tolman
Why did they have
HQ?
to close if they have no operating costs?
because that guy stole $1 million.
So Tolman then,
So
if
then
he actually stole money, this is my question.
I don't know if he stole it, but the money's gone.
The money is gone. He might have just been like, we're paying ourselves. I'm 50% of the board.
Yes. Brandon said he stole it. My guess was what happened is he's like, great.
Because if he actually stole it, there's legal repercussions for stealing things in our country.
My guess would be this.
He could pursue him legally. He can get money
yeah,
back.
he didn't steal it. Brendan's dumb. And Brendan was
Okay,
like,
okay, yeah.
Brendan goes
Let's
like,
just tell it how it is.
yeah, Brendan goes like, hey, this isn't working. Our Ponzi scheme, these companies are failing. Some of these licensees people are running terrible businesses. Let's go fix it. We have $2 million in the bank.
What should we do, man bun?
And then he's like, he's thinking like, let's go spend this money. Because
Yeah.
he's going, let's go fix it. And this guy's like, no, I'm not going to go fix that. I got my money. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. That's my guess is what happened. And he was like, and so Brendan, and this is where I feel bad for the guy because he
And then they had a disagreement, and that's potentially why
potentially closed their
Dynasty
side.
closed.
Yeah. And so then he's
Okay.
like, Brendan starts taking a more hands-on approach with all of Tolman.
Okay.
He starts trying to like, there are 6 or 7 licensees that have like total failure.
Yeah.
That are just killing everyone.
He's like, as soon as
And
I come back from my 3-week vacation in Turks and Caicos recording for my YouTube channel.
So he starts trying to buy them back.
I'll fix this.
He starts buying back these licenses.
Yeah.
And trying to operate these Tolmans.
Oh, okay. That's a big no-no.
Yes.
Because a licensee means you have no liability.
Mhm.
But then when you own these companies, you then acquire lots of liability,
Yes.
lots of responsibility that if you don't execute on, you are liable for.
Yes.
As
So
a business,
instead of just
potentially
letting
personally.
them like saying like your licenses are revoked, screw you couples.
Okay.
You actually didn't work for me, Tolman. You actually worked for Green Plant LLC, who was using the Tolman license. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
He wasn't willing to do it. And you know, on some level, it's like, okay, I give you props. Like you tried to do the right thing. You were trying to.
Well, I mean, maybe, but also maybe he was just trying to fix it so he could make more money.
Who knows?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to give him much benefit of the doubt.
That's fine too.
I'm not going to try to judge his intentions. His intentions seem to have been
Well,
bad.
based on what I've
across the
heard
board.
from other people, like he was
This is one case where maybe you're the good guy and I'll take the negative approach.
based on what I've heard from other people, he was naive. And
Sure.
he was like trying to right the ship,
Hmm.
you know, instead of because he could have done the same thing Nick did.
Right.
He could have just been like, I'm out. So, you know, who knows? Doesn't mean like he's clearly not equipped to
Right.
fix this problem. That being said. And so, you know, over the last, I don't know how long ago that happened or whatever, everything seemed to be going okay until March or until like October. And
Mhm.
then, you know, they were running off of all these like second deposit, like basically accounts receivable. And when the money ran dry, and then of course, like we know, because we run a big volume business, right? From July to October, that was rough. The
yeah.
bookings,
In terms of bookings,
like, if you're-
September was pretty big for us, wasn't it?
it was okay, but
Yeah.
it wasn't what I was hoping.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and going,
And at the end of the day, Brendan, we can just assume, right, that Brendan is more of like the people person and like not really the business guru. The business guru's gone. So
well, and also they were already operating in the negative. They just were living off of those. They needed those payments. They needed that. They needed to book. Who knows? They needed
so we're
to book.
assuming the $1 million that was quote unquote stolen, according to Brendan, is from the licensing agreements. That
Yes.
big lump sum that was paid and sitting in the bank. They've been paying themselves,
which
and
goes
living off
away.
of this golden calf that's been going slowly trickling down.
And then
Man
they're
Bun's
trying to live.
upset, and he's like, "I'm out of here. This isn't working. This is a terrible business model that I've created. See you later. I'm out of here."
Yeah, like 15% of our licensees are
Got it.
actually not generating any profits.
Yeah. Okay.
And
It's
they're
all coming into view now.
And they're
Okay.
missing all their payments, and I'm out.
Yeah.
So like that's my guess.
And like I did see actually on LinkedIn, I saw that Tolman Media HQ was taking over, I think, the Hawaii one. I saw like a post about that. So assuming some of these are closing because probably either they're doing a poor job, they're not doing well, or the owner is like, dude, you told me I'd be making money. You guys are taking all
I'm
the
out.
money. I'm out. Why am I even
This
putting
is
my
a-
name on this? I'm done.
And like, what are you going to do about it? You don't even have a real agreement with me.
Yeah.
You can,
And especially the owner, if everything was financed up front, maybe they put a down payment, but if most of it was financed up front, like, oh yeah, I lost this 10 grand.
I think if
I don't
you're
want to even think about this
if you're
anymore. I don't want
actually
the
operating a
liability.
shady business, you don't want to take anyone to court.
Right.
And so, like, Tolman's not going to take anyone to court because all that person has to say is, how about all the people that you call contractors that are actually employees?
Mhm.
So, because after all the drama going, what they started doing in January is they started shifting all their managers to W-2 employees because somebody told them, like, bro, these are not contractors. These are employees.
Maybe when he tried to fix it, he brought someone in, like an
Mhm.
accountant.
And the guy's like, you have to make them out. So they shifted
But they
them.
did have a CFO.
No, under the licensees.
Yes.
The-
Yes.
So under the licensees, they have only contractors.
Mm.
So but they're not contractors.
I wonder
So
if
like,
their model said, hey, in the model, these people can all be contractors, which is not good information.
yes,
They should
that is what
actually
the
be
model says.
employees.
They
That's
literally have a chart.
crazy.
They literally have a chart.
That's crazy that they were paying them as contractors.
They have a
in the
chart
first
like
place.
where it's like boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
and then the third level of the bottom of it is shooter, sales person,
Yeah.
manager.
Right. Right.
And you're like, they're not contractors. They're working 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
They're not contractors. Those people have to they're just employees,
Mhm.
you know? And I'm not sure how it differs between that and a virtual assistant. I don't really know.
And I think Biden is trying to get rid of all contractors, subcontractors.
Well, basically,
because
like,
of Uber.
A virtual assistant, like I have a virtual assistant and she
Mhm.
has like 3 other people she works for.
Mhm.
That's the difference.
She's unfaithful to you.
Sure. She
Yeah.
does my emails. That's all I care.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if those managers could like work for Stop Go Love too, helping us with like they had a service called like Wedding Managers Inc.
Mhm.
That would be one thing.
Yeah.
That's not how it operated. And so like he's trying to shift them over. So there's all kinds of crazy dysfunction there. One lesson to learn is, I don't know, learn how to actually run a business and don't just pay attention to, I'm here on YouTube saying this, but like, don't just listen to like,
Don't just listen to kooks on YouTube.
yeah, YouTube gurus and like all these people, anyone who's like, you can do this.
I would just say take everything with a grain of
Yeah,
salt.
and the crypto bros on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, essentially like, and what he ended up doing.
Yeah.
But like, so the whole thing falls apart. And so now to really the thing, which is, what the heck? What do we do about this crap? Like, because I'm looking at this and going, there's no way a shooter would have, there's no red flags. Now, there are red flags for the business owner.
And there are red flags when contractors stop getting paid.
Yeah, but
by then it's probably too late.
It's too late. At that point, it's too late. And so it's like, you might be working for a company like, you know, I know nothing about NST other than they advertise. You might be working for NST and they pay you every time and it's fine. And they're like, no, I don't do that. We don't operate like that. They're fine, right? And I remember even talking to a creative and like they're doing 30 gigs and 20 of them are for another company. And I was like, oh, don't do that. And because that's like my natural instinct, right? Is
Don't work for those
people.
carpetbaggers. Yeah.
And then I was looking at their income.
Yep.
And I was like, they really need to work for them.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's like, how many people really need those gigs? And like, it's
Especially when you're first breaking in, it's like, we talk to people all the
people
time,
who
dude.
just
And
suck
it's just,
at business.
you're not good at business. Your website isn't great. You know, by the way, you should listen to WFS Live. Every once in a while, we do website critiques. That aside, people aren't good at it. So it's like they get into the industry and maybe they still have a lot to learn. They're still developing their own brand, whatever. It's like the thing that holds them over and allows them to buy the gear. And maybe some of them just enjoy it, like while they're building their brand. And it gives them the experience. It gives them the footage.
Well, they're just,
whatever.
you know, like I know good filmmakers who you would be surprised.
You got
who
to
are
fill
doing
your schedule.
gigs they're just filling their schedule.
Yeah.
And so like, it's like, wow, you know, if you tell people they shouldn't be doing that, I think you got to really take a hard look at like, what is your privilege level of like, I'm privileged to not have to do that.
Yeah.
But some others do. And that's okay.
Right.
And it's like, then what's this? Then like, how do you solve the problem, right? Well, there should be no national chains. There should be no like random people running businesses. That I agree. Yeah, there should be no random people running filmmaking businesses with people's wedding days.
Yeah.
That have no idea how to hire anyone or what they're doing. I agree with that.
Right.
But I think the real crux of the problem is like, well, then how do you solve it? Because that person wants to pay $1,400 for photo and video.
Right.
And do you want to do that? No, I would never do that.
Right.
Okay. Like I keep telling this Bible verse, right? If a demon is cast out of the house and you leave the house empty, 7 demons will come to replace it. And it's like this concept of like nature abhors a vacuum.
Right. Right.
Like if there's a demand for a $1,400 photo video package and you don't fulfill it,
Right.
Some demon will come in and sell it.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know what to do about that. Especially when they're paying someone pretty good money to fulfill the gig.
Yeah. I would. So this is my initial thought. I mean, initially, like I do hate these companies. I think they're terrible, and probably only because I haven't seen people or know about people who've done it really well. Like George Street almost went under. That's what I've heard. I allegedly, according to some.
I mean, I can't
people I've
imagine
talked
how
to.
you can make, because the editing costs they pay are so low. Like I can't imagine the film.
Right, but they just fill it with minutia and like who knows? People structure it like this is a crazy model. Like who in their right mind would have thought of that initially? Like it's not the way any of us creatives would have thought of it. Maybe business people, but I think that you never know. Like I look at them and I'm like, I just see the failures over and over and over again. So I'm like, I hate these companies. I think they drag our business down.
Sure.
I think now any of my couples who have heard about Tolman Media, about Glasser Images, whoever, they associate me with them.
Sure.
I hate that.
Yeah,
because I care. And you can tell the work that I do is much better than the work that Tolman Media did. I'm sorry. It's like objectively better.
Yeah.
You can look at it and be like, and I care, and I have the planners to prove it. I have the reviews to prove it, which is actually another thing scary, is because you look at Tolman Media, and I'm sure they have 5 stars through
tons of reviews.
tons of
Because
reviews.
all they are is a marketing company.
Right, so they're great at that.
So
It's
they're
not something I'm great at.
They're giving all these people this massive leg up on the
Right.
guy who, because their local competition.
Yep. So my initial thought after thinking that and actually hating these companies is like, yeah, I hate these companies, but why should I care? There's always been this like leechy part of the underbelly of our industry who's just a bunch of bottom feeders. Why should I care about the Craigslist guy who ripped someone off? Like that couple deserves that. If they go with a company that is only charging $1,500, they deserve exactly what they get. What do you say to the person who would think that? Because that's my initial thought.
I think that's not true. Because I think everyone deserves to have beautiful wedding photos and videos.
They just have to pay for it. I agree, but they just have to pay for
Well, the question
a
is,
less risky choice.
the question is not should they pay more, because they might not be able to. That's my thing. It's like they can't. Some people literally can't. And so the question is, should someone else work for that? Is it abuse to work 6 hours for $1,400 or 10 hours for $2,000, photo and video? If you're a husband and wife team, and
I don't think it's abuse for the contractor.
no, even the business owner. Let's imagine, because
No, the couple.
the only solution is that people who aren't those people be willing to work for those prices.
Mhm.
That's the only solution. Other than that, like if there was a bunch of awesome people who could actually do a little bit of marketing,
Yeah.
and could fulfill the demand level at the price people wanted to pay with integrity, that would solve the problem.
I'm saying from the couple's perspective, if the couple is willing to pay $1,400, who am I to care if they get what they get?
I mean,
Or maybe their film doesn't even get.
here's what
shot.
I would say. I don't care if it's good. No, they shouldn't expect a good video. And I don't care about that. That's not my problem. You bought the cheapest possible video, you get the worst possible video. That is not, but they should get a video and someone should be able to show up.
Well,
and they shouldn't
yeah.
lose a $700 deposit that they never get back. With like, that shouldn't happen.
I think a lot of filmmakers will say, good. I'm glad that those couples got screwed.
It doesn't help you though.
Not necessarily, they will never come out and say that, but yeah, good. Like, that's why you hire good people.
People always say that. And I always think it's like, you being spiteful only hurts us. Like the fact that we let that company, it's like every single year this happens, and every single year the response of the wedding filmmaking and photography community is shows you, pay more money. And then I'm like, actually shows you. People are not going to be paying more money now.
Maybe there's a reason why only 60% of brides get a videographer.
Because we're not a trustworthy industry.
Is that part of the reason?
Yes, because we're not reputable as an industry. They don't know the difference between me and that person, you know, and they don't understand its value.
And how do you even explain it being one of the good guys?
Yeah, we're the good guys. Oh, yeah, well, we're expensive, right? And it's like, yeah, no. So it is complicated, though, because I'm like, well, you know what I like to, I did an interview with the Smiths, which is season 3. I don't know when we're going to release it, but Max Smith and his wife, and we were talking about their start. And they did like 30, 40 weddings their first year off Facebook ads for like $2K.
Whoa. I want to hire him full time to just run my marketing.
Well, they're doing their own thing. They're not charging that now.
Yeah.
But they were
Oh, I thought you were saying 2K. They ran ads for 2K.
Oh, no.
I was like, what?
I mean, it might have been like $400 a month. Who knows? They did.
Yeah. 2K, I would be like.
It was like 10% of their.
Sure.
Like it's normal, what you would expect.
Yeah.
But they paid their dues.
Right.
At the part of the market that was where there was easy demand to fulfill. And so someone looked and goes, I could hire the Smiths or I could hire Tolman Media. This one looks better. I'll pay a little bit more. And like, I think people would do that.
Yeah.
And I think like if the people who are at the bottom of the market, and this is why I think stuff like this is important, right? If you're starting a business and you're at the beginning of your career, fix your website or Tolman Media will eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Fix your poster frames or Tolman Media will eat your lunch. Fix your social media. Like do the stuff that you can do for free. Fix it. It's like the reason why these companies can come in and take like, it's like, well, I'm charging $1,500 and they're charging $1,500. Why are they beating me? Go look at your disgusting knot profile. Which has it's terrible images. And these people have professional images that they're shipping out from all across the country.
Right. I was going to say, like, literally their images are from, like, freaking Denali. And you're like...
They have 1,600 weddings to pick from.
Yeah. They have the best photos that you can compare to, like... They have one image that looks like a bench height image.
Yeah.
Like, it's great looking.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, so you have to be better at the bottom of the market. So and like you have to meet demand where it is. You can't vacate it and allow these people to come in and take all the work, and you need to compete with them. And that's what makes the industry better. What makes the industry better is like the people at the bottom of the market actually start fighting fire with fire. It's like you own a camera, go make better images. Like, well, I should get paying more. If you literally cannot figure out a way to get 7 better images than Tolman Media, you suck.
Yeah.
Quit. Go work for someone else. You're not in it. You're not a business owner. You're not ready for this.
Yeah.
You know, go shoot your gigs, whatever. I don't care, but don't complain. That's all I'm saying. It's like, because like Tolman Media is not eating our lunch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the one encouraging thing that I took away from my deep dive into was I didn't really see a lot of there's probably 40 pages of like people that have worked for Tolman, and I think there was like one person in New Hampshire that worked for them. That
based on what I could see, like they were huge in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But like
Salt Lake City, I think.
Well, he's from Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
But mainly
Tons of people from Salt Lake City.
Mainly what they're doing is they're targeting like rural parts of America where there isn't like a super developed wedding industry.
Yes.
And
at that price,
at that price especially. And so, you know, like I always try to look and say, how are we contributing? How do we stop these people from? I always say like, okay, you got to beat them.
Yeah.
Like you got to somebody at the like you got to beat them. And like if
so you think we can fix this part of the industry?
Maybe.
You think we can?
Or like, you know, I don't know. Like it might just be the part of the market that's always populated by these types of people. But if you wanted to fix it, you would have to have providers that were offering a similar branding experience with the same price.
So if you want to beat them in this price point, if you're just starting off, like just realize if you're starting off, you're going to have to find ways to beat some people like Tolman Media
You
at that
better
price
have
point.
way better product
And they are outspending these people
by a lot.
by a lot. They are also providing probably 80% of whatever a person, or maybe a better product than a
And-
person in this price range can provide.
Yep. And they might be hiring you.
And
So like literally you're on the
they're
same
taking
thing.
your work,
You're
and
literally
then they're
on
paying you a percentage of the work that you would have been able to make on your own.
It's what the thing I keep saying is like, how many times I've heard people complaining like, I'm not going to work for $2,000. I'm worth more than that.
Mm.
But I will work for you for $800 for the exact same gig that I could have had if I was willing to work for 2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is where my brain breaks a little. Is like,
Sure.
so you're so open in your schedule that you can take 20 gigs from a company like Tolman Media.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Well, my prices are too high for the market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just lower your prices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm not going to do that because of my value. Okay, well, your value is $800 a day. Like your value is whatever you're willing to work for.
Mm-hmm.
And you clearly are willing to work for $600. Are you a business owner? Are you a contractor? And like, I don't really care if you want to do both, but
Mm-hmm.
like, you got to like start thinking about like, when I'm working for this company, I'm not working my own gig. And why is that? And if it's because of price, if like a bunch of couples would have been willing to give you $2,000, it's like, well, what about editing? Well, do what they do. Outsource someone. I don't know. Like if you set up a separate brand that you do the cheap weddings under, I don't care. But like, if you really don't want them to eat your lunch, you have to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, like, you know why I don't have to fight them? Because I'm beyond them.
Mm-hmm.
And like get beyond them. That's cool. That's a great goal. Everyone should try to not be competing for the bottom of the market. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. But it's like, that's tricky though, because if someone's getting started, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, so how could they?
Well,
The deck is so set against them.
you're working with inexperience both on the contractor side, but then also on the bride and groom side.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't know better. They're just like, hey, stop, go, love. They want to charge me $8,000 for what I want, versus this company, Tolman Media, that we're gonna get photo and video for $1,400. I look at, and most people don't know the difference.
They don't know what a good.
They don't know what a good wedding film is, and frankly, a lot of them don't care.
Mhm.
They don't care.
There is a
So-
couple that would never, ever pay for a good film, but they
Nope.
will pay for certain deliverables,
Mhm.
and that's all they care
Yep.
about.
They're like, hey, talk to any dude. Like what we do is so emotional. It's an emotional luxury purchase. Most dudes would be like, dude, if I could find a photographer for $500, I don't care. I don't even care about photography at all. You have a ton of dudes out there who would be like, if we could get away with not spending any money and we could elope at the courthouse, that's what most people are motivated by.
Yep.
I want to have a new truck. So most people are motivated by that up front. So if they're able to be like, hey, let's just compromise. Yeah, we can get a photographer, but I want to spend $1,400 instead of $8,000. They're going to choose that.
Yep.
So the deck is stacked against the industry existing and becoming a much more mature industry. And I don't know how you solve it, because like you said, I don't necessarily want to tell a new videographer, don't work for a company like that. I would just hope that better companies would come along that actually care, that actually want to do what they say they're going to do, and, not screw couples and contractors
Well, and I would
out of
say
pay.
we're trying to fix it on the way we can, which is hopefully if you're getting started, you're understanding what's against you and you're understanding the importance of branding and marketing and creating an actual experience for couples, and that it's not just your images. Because if it was just about the photo and video, no one would be booking these things. But I will tell you this, I looked at all their Pixie sets and because they're not very organized. So I just went through their Google Drives and looked at their folders and looked at all their, pretty good.
Pretty good.
There's a lot of good, talented artists that
Yeah.
are shooting for these people, especially in the Midwest, places where it's harder to get gigs. And so like, you're actually not that much better than them.
Mm.
And like, you got to be realistic about that.
Yeah.
Like, you actually, like, it is tough to compete there, which is why I actually probably think that the real solution is in national chains with integrity.
Hmm.
Paying people, creating these opportunities at the bottom of the market, and, if you get good enough, you start your own thing, you rise above it. But like, I think there's no way for these young people to compete with these companies.
Mhm.
They're just too much marketing knowledge, too much. They don't make any missteps on that stuff. Meanwhile, you have this great film, and I go to your site, and half the pages say under construction.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're toast.
Yeah,
it's over for you. Like, oh, and you want to charge 3 times more.
Yep.
And you think that's the couple cares about talking to you, and they don't. Like all this stuff. It's like,
but at least you're gonna send them a candle.
yeah, yeah. It's like, so sorry to be depressing on today's podcast, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
because it exposes a lot of the things I had suspicions about at the bottom of the market. It proves to me the real motivations of couples.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's just interesting hot goss on how this crazy stuff happens, and who knows.
That's the part is like me as a wedding filmmaker who runs, a lot of people would be like a volume brand, although I would also say I'm charging a lot more than a lot of the people that would call us a volume brand. That's the arrogant part.
I like successful brand.
A successful brand, sure. But I would say that just understanding that part of the industry helps me be informed as a business owner, as a creative, as a person who works with other people and understanding what their motives are, understanding business in general. All these are qualities into, what I guess why this is interesting and how it can help our business.
Yeah.
So hopefully this was somewhat interesting to you. If you made it this far, one person, maybe we won them back. They got bored with, the other gurus podcast, and came back to us. I would say, hopefully this has been informative to you.
And if it is, I have a $2,500 digital marketing course I'll sell you.
No, actually, we do have a coaching session. So maybe, Jason, I would say, is probably one of the most informed people in the wedding film industry when it comes to running a business and all different types of businesses. And in general, we're very informed about the different tiers of wedding film business that are out there. We actually run 3 ourselves. In addition to an outsourcing company. So we're pretty well informed. And if you're looking to have a little bit of coaching, Jason does offer coaching sessions. Go to the weddingfilm.school website and you can book a coaching session there. As usual, check out
I want to say one thing about coaching.
Yeah.
So there's limited time periods on there.
Your time is very valuable.
Well, and also limited.
Yeah.
But I will say, if the time periods that are on there don't work for you,
yeah,
if you have people reaching out, you can just email us at contact@weddingfilm.school. And you can say, hey, I'd like to do a coaching, but I didn't see any dates that were available. And we can schedule it that way.
Okay, cool. Per usual, guys, check out the Facebook group. It's probably the best wedding film Facebook group out there, and you can ask your questions. You can get answers from plenty of wedding filmmakers, both new and old, or new and experienced, I would say. They're not all old. And also check out our 2 YouTube channels. Check out the Wedding Film School, as well as the Wedding Film School Show. Give both those a follow. Guys, thank you so much for your support. I love doing the show. I think it's a lot of fun. We clearly don't make a lot of money doing it, but I think
this is our terrible business decision.
Yeah. And luckily we can afford to do it. But hopefully it's been fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and have learned and grow and made our industry overall a better place to thrive. So we will see you again next week here on the Wedding Film School Show.
Amen.